but they did not win it. From the 2-1-0, I would bet if the money sends the Texas Tech and Oklahoma State to the SEC, I'm betting that would have been done. No-brainer for anyone else who thinks otherwise. And also the 2-1-0, I don't know, we hadn't brought that up, is that Texas and Texas Tech in a report in the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, according to the 2-1-0, that Hokut wants to keep playing Texas. We asked Mack Rhodes Tuesday, would you still play non-conference games in the future with Texas and Oklahoma? And he didn't say immediately no. He didn't give anything like the hell with them, none of that. He said he'd have to think about it based on the conference and non-conference schedules going forward.
That's smart for one reason. Texas A&M and Texas have had to answer the same stupid question for the last decade. And it all started with, we don't need to play them anymore.
Yeah, they don't need us. We don't need them.
If you say that now, even if it never comes to fruition because schedules could be so jacked up here in the next couple of years that you'll never see it again, or it'll be years before you see it, at least you say, I'm open to playing them. It gives you an out either way. If you don't play them, well, we can't get it scheduled. It's just there's a lot of stuff on our schedule.
It takes two to play two.
If you do play them, then fine. But if you come out and say what both those schools said, like the hell with neither of you,
they dug their heels an ego trip, right?
Yeah. Then it's just bad.
Would you want to see them play Texas and Oklahoma in the non-conference? And they got, again, those teams have to be interested.
The Big 12?
Yeah, anyone else from the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Makes sense. You've been playing a long time.
There's a history there. Yeah, obviously. Baylor and Oklahoma have had some great games. Baylor and Texas have had some great games. So, yeah, I'd be all for watching that. I don't think there's any, remaining. Like, I don't think Texas Tech versus any of those teams should be like a consistent every year thing, nor should it be for any of the, it should be a home and away every 5-10 years or something like that. But yeah, I think Paul's right as far as just saying something that's not harmful to you maybe in the future and something that leaves the door open. Because, look, from Tech's point of view and from Baylor's and from TCU's, we can crack on Texas for being probably the most underachieving football program in the country over the last decade. But they are very powerful, and they do bring some eyeballs. And so, what's going to sell better at AT&T Jones Stadium? Texas coming into town with that SEC tag on their helmet, or Austin P? You know what I mean? So, yeah, money-wise, it makes sense as well, and you'll have more fans for that game than you will most others. So, yeah, you would leave open the possibility.
All right, thanks for the text, though, Devontae, but that's not the case.
Yeah, and that's an easy mix-up, but definitely appreciate your input and hope to hear from you again. And as far as the Texas Tech and the Oklahoma State, that random comment you mentioned, and I don't know if that's just based on something that's like mid-chat or whatever, but, yeah, if there was interest there, they would be there. There's nothing preventing that, and I don't see if the Pac-12 was realistic for them, why they would be, or whatever conference you want to mention, why they would be, saddling up with a new Big 12 and 4 brand new teams and being involved in all those conversations. So, yeah, I think that was more rumor than anything else, reality-based.
All right, the text line, appreciate that. We've gone through the 214, the 224 out of Chicago.
And I read a lot from Wilner previously, before we ever had him on the show, on why they wouldn't make any sense. Like, he floated, he's the one that actually floated that first Houston balloon out there, and that's what got a little bit of chatter going, which now we know they're in the Big 12, so they're not going to the Pac-12. But when in terms of some of the other Big 12 schools and a lot of the conversations I saw him having, he just said, they don't bring any value. Yes, there is you get your foot in Texas, but, I guess that only goes so far, and do you really, if you're bringing in Texas Tech, you do, and then you really also don't. You get a piece, but it's a very tiny piece of the bigger picture. So I appreciate his input in the Pac-12. He's a really knowledgeable guy with that conference.
All right, one or two more. And then I know, Paul, we have one of the Bryan brothers is going to join us from the 412. As a transplant in Baton Rouge, the football passion is unlike anywhere I have ever been. The fans show up in droves. Everything bleeds purple and gold. The university will give anything to win, as someone who has seen it firsthand. That's part of why they're in that discussion or in the list of the top 5. Of course, you can go 1 or 2 in and out. Back to the call.
I believe it.
Yeah. All right. Jeff in Mexico, you're on the BetUS caller line. Thanks for your call.
Hey, roll tide, guys. I got a couple of comments I want to make.
Roll Tide. What's going on?
The best college coaching job is Iowa. Think about it. Since 1979, they've only had 2 coaches, and Iowa fans only expect a bowl. They don't care about national championships and that. They pay good money. That'd be a great job.
That's a very good point. Kirk Ferentz, anywhere else, he's probably been fired like 3 times by now.
Yeah.
That's really crazy that that's the case. But, yeah, if he was at Texas or at Oklahoma or Alabama, then, yeah, like as soon as he had a couple years that weren't up to snuff, it's like, all right, we got to do something. But Iowa just knows, like, hey, steady hand, cool hand Luke, and year in and year out, they're in the mix or they're not far off from being back in the mix. And this year they've got a really good team that put it on Iowa State, who Iowa State looks like they have – a lot of things to clean up, but you're right, man. They wouldn't be the first team to come to mind, but talk about the most stable job in college athletics.
They've had one less coach than the Steelers have over the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Steelers